Hi, my name is Morgan and I am a neuroscience researcher, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit different, a little less related to neuroscience, but still something that matters a lot to me personally. So we're going to be talking about different things that people seem to think are okay to say to women in science, but they're not. And I think as a general good rule of thumb, if you wouldn't be willing to say any of these things to one of your male coworkers, please don't say them to your female coworkers. A quick disclaimer, the title of this video does say that these are things not to say to women, but that also includes trans and non-binary people who other people perceive as women. You're all included in this too. So when I first thought of this video topic, I thought it would be more of like a 10 things not to say to your female coworkers or the 10 things not to say to women in STEM, because I can think of like 10 things right off the top of my head, but I wanted to make sure that I was including everyone and everyone's experiences. So I went on a Facebook group that I'm a part of that is entirely women in STEM, and I asked them just like, hey guys, what are your stories about things that people have said to you, things that people seem to think is okay to say to you that isn't, and that like really bothers you. And the responses to that post, I think there's like over 300 responses at this point. There were a lot of people with a lot of things to say, and all entirely valid. I will say that everything that I'm about to say, I have either heard or known someone personally who has heard these things. So these aren't coming out of nowhere. They're things that exist, things that I have been told, things that I know people have been told. And if you're a man or possibly a woman who's about to comment on this video saying, oh, well, sexism in science isn't real, we've progressed beyond that, I will touch on that at the end of the video, but maybe hearing the things I'm about to say will change your mind on that. The point of this video isn't to call anyone out or to make anyone uncomfortable. It's to help people realize that there is some stuff that you just wouldn't say to a man that for some reason people feel extremely comfortable saying to a woman, and that needs to change. So if you have done these things in the past, I'm not coming at you. I'm just hoping maybe it'll make you sort of reconsider your words before you say them next time and think about the impact that they have on us. So the thing I think I saw the most out of all of the comments on that post were, what are you going to do once you have kids? Your PI won't like it if you get pregnant. How are you going to combine a life of research with having a family? Just so many questions about, well, what happens whenever you decide to have kids? And I've never understood why people think this is okay to ask to women. First of all, not all women can have kids. Secondly, not all women want kids. Thirdly, you can have kids and still be a successful woman in science. I think one of the best stories to show why this is a bad thing to say to women in science is one time where I was in college, I had a professor who I went to for advice. I asked him for advice on applying to graduate school. I told him that I really wanted to go, and he told me not to because I might get pregnant and I might have a kid. And I was like, well, I mean, I probably won't, considering I don't want one, but even if I did, like, your wife had a kid while you were in grad school. And he said, yeah, but my wife had the kid while I was in grad school. And I was like, okay, but you know how, like, your wife stayed at home and took care of the baby? Like, if I had a partner, they could also stay home and take care of the baby. I've never understood why there's so much pressure on the woman to take care of the kid. I mean, like, it's not like you live at grad school. Even, like, you can still be involved with your child. It's usually, I mean, the further into grad school that you get, it gets harder and you have to invest more time. But it's not an amount of time where you would never see your child. So I don't understand it. Please just stop asking us about kids. Like, if we might not want kids, we might not be able to have kids, and even if you do have kids, you can still be a very successful woman. I have had a mentor who was a single mom, and she is the best mentor that I've ever had, and she was an amazing woman in science. It's possible. You can do it. Stop worrying, and that's our own issue. Like, if we want to have kids, that's a personal issue to us that we will figure out a solution to. It's none of your business. Please stop asking it. Another one that we get told a lot is not to show a lot of emotion, that your male managers won't like it whenever you show emotion, which is unfortunately true. Like, I can't dispute that. But instead of maybe telling us, like, hey, your male PIs won't like it if you show a lot of emotion, maybe do something about it. Maybe, like, stop putting the pressure on us to not have emotions like a human being, and put the pressure on the PIs to sort of, like, loosen up a little bit and understand that people have emotions, because they don't have the same responses whenever a man has an emotion. Like, I've seen men throw absolute temper tantrums in the middle of a lab before and nothing bad happens, but a woman says one day that she's really sad that her experiment didn't work, and all of a sudden she's emotional. Not all male PIs will be upset if you are emotional, but I've seen a few of them. So look for a good male PI. Stop telling us that it's on us if we have emotions. You have emotions too. Every human being has emotions. Stop saying that. Another one I saw was, it's nice to see a woman in a technical field, which I think is one that people try to say as a compliment. Like, I think in their mind it's a compliment that, oh, well, like, not a lot of women are in this field, so it's nice to see one. But what you're really saying is, like, oh, I can't believe that a woman managed to get into this field. Like, how did you manage that as a woman? Which, how did you manage it as a man? I don't know. Like, come on. Another one that I heard all the time growing up in a small town, I think this is a little bit more common, but I'm sure people in bigger cities experience it too, is men won't like you if you're smarter than them, and you won't find a husband with whenever you're trying to get your PhD. You won't find a man who likes your research, all of that stuff. Again, first of all, don't assume we want a man. Secondly, why would I aim for that? Why, if I am a smart person, would I go for someone who doesn't like that about me? Like, why would I want a man who doesn't like that I'm smart? Why would I want someone who doesn't like that I want a PhD? Like, why would we go for that? Why should we have to change who we are instead of teaching men that having someone who is a smart, intelligent woman is a good thing? Why should we have to dumb ourselves down for them? Following up on that one, another thing that we hear all the time is you're gonna make men uncomfortable if you're smarter than them. So maybe just try to, like, tone it down a little bit. Maybe in classes, like, don't answer as many questions as the men. Maybe don't offer to help tutor the men. I had one time whenever I was in college, I took the MCAT, and I actually made a pretty competitive score on the MCAT, and I offered to tutor a guy who was a year younger than me on it, and he said no, and his claim was that he didn't have enough time. And then a little while later I found out that he was, like, being tutored by someone who made a worse score than me but was a dude. I'm not saying those two things are 100% linked, but I'm just saying sometimes men really don't like it whenever you're smarter than them, but that's not our problem. Like, we shouldn't have to be less intelligent to make men more comfortable. They should just learn that it's okay that women are smart too. Another one that we unfortunately get all the time is, oh, are you on that time of the month? I think all women in every single field get this question. Just so you know, that doesn't actually change that much about our behavior. There's been a lot of studies done in rats that actually show that the different stages of the cycle don't affect the rat's behavior more than, like, a male's level of testosterone affects their behavior. They actually show that the male's level of testosterone affects things more. So actually, men are more varied than women. So there's that. Also, that's an extremely personal question, and you would never ask a man anything remotely similar. So maybe stop asking women it. That we get told in every field, but also in STEM and in science, is don't be so bossy, or don't be so aggressive, or maybe smile a little bit more, or you look so mad. I'm concentrating on my experiments, please leave me alone. Like, stop saying that. Because also, have you ever seen a man with a straight face and went, oh, you need to smile more? If you wouldn't say it to a man, stop saying it to women. It's not that difficult to comprehend. Also, there have been other studies done, which I will link in the description if I can find them, showing that women are actually less bossy than men, but are perceived as more bossy. We also talk less than men, but are perceived as talking more than men. So I would say that there's some biases that some people need to check. Something that I've experienced a couple of times, because Morgan is a pretty gender neutral name, is that I'll be emailing back and forth with someone, and then we'll meet up and they'll look at me and they'll go, wow, you're a girl. Yes, hello, I am female. We are able to be smart and intelligent also. Please stop saying that. Like, just accept it and move on. Have you ever met up with a dude and been like, wow, you're a guy? No, because why would you? Please stop it. Another thing that I think people mean as a compliment most of the time but don't realize what they're actually saying is whenever people look at you and go, that's actually a good idea. Yes, women are capable of having good ideas. Please stop being so shocked about it. Please, it's not actually, we had a good idea. Something that we said was good. Why do you have to be so surprised they came from a woman? I don't understand it. Something that women get a lot whenever we're like out on the dating scene trying to like find a partner is something along the lines of, oh, you're a smart one, or you're pretty and smart, or you're pretty for a scientist, or so you really are like smart. Or even some people say like, oh, you're wife material for being smart and pretty. And again, I think people mean this as a compliment. I don't think they realize what you're saying is that you don't think women are capable of being smart. Like, you are so shocked that a pretty person is also capable of being intelligent. And I'm sure some men get this too if you're a really attractive man, but I think it's to a greater extent with women, because automatically just from being a woman, people assume you're not that intelligent, and then on top of that, people assume if you're pretty that you're not intelligent, so then they just combine the two and they're like, oh, you're a pretty woman, you can't be smart at all. So yes, pretty people are capable of being intelligent, they're capable of being smart, they're capable of doing research. Stop assuming that attractive people aren't capable of being intelligent. And feel free to compliment a woman's brains if you want to. That's my favorite compliment, is whenever people compliment how intelligent I am instead of just automatically going to the looks. It's a great thing. But whenever you say pretty and smart together, like you're shocked about it, it's not a compliment, because you're just shocked that we're able to be smart. That's not good. I've actually had this next one happen before, and I thought it was like a one-off comment that like maybe I was the only person this had ever been told to, and then it got commented a lot on my post. So it's that like we'll say something really smart and intelligent, and then a man will look at us and say, oh, what movie did you learn that from? I'm smart. I didn't learn it from a movie. I learned it from a textbook or from a class or from research. Like, we're capable of being smart. I think that's the whole point of this video, is women are capable of being intelligent. We are. I promise you. Something I've been guilty of a few times is assuming that all scientific papers are written by men. So if you haven't looked at a scientific paper before, they're typically written in a way where you don't know the author's first name. And even if you do know someone's first name, like I said earlier, my name's pretty gender neutral. You could assume either one with me. But usually it's written like just with their last name and then like their first initial. So it's really difficult to tell what gender the person identifies as. Also, they may identify as a gender that doesn't match up with their name. They might be non-binary, in which case you definitely can't tell by the name. But people tend to just assume that all authors of papers are male. So you'll be discussing a paper with a colleague and you'll be referring to them by their last name. And then all of a sudden they'll be like, oh yeah, he said blah, blah, blah. And like, maybe it's a he, but also maybe it's a woman. Don't assume that. Just, if you don't know, it's easy to look up, and if it like matters that much to you, but if it doesn't matter that much to you, just call them they or by their last name. Not all authors are male. Another one that I've heard a couple of times is, oh, you're so brave for going into a male-dominated field, which I think is meant as a compliment. I think people genuinely think that saying that someone is brave for going into a male-dominated field is a compliment, but it's not brave. We're just trying to live our lives. We just want to do what we want to do, and that happens to be an issue because we were born with a uterus, and somehow that makes it more difficult for us, which is a problem. And yes, it is more difficult for a woman being in STEM, but it doesn't, you saying something like, oh, you're so brave for doing that, just discourages other people from going into it. I was terrified to apply for graduate school at a university where I would most likely be mentored by a man, because all of my previous mentors have been women, and that's been a great experience. And I had heard so many awful stories, and I had heard people saying stuff like this, like, oh, it's really brave of you to like go into a lab with men. It's not brave. It's just us trying to get a PhD. It's just us trying to do research. It's not brave. And if you say that, all the other people are going to think is that it is scary, and you might discourage other women from going into the field. So please stop it. We're just trying to live our lives. if you really want to express how difficult it is as a woman in STEM, maybe try to do something about it. Make sure that you're speaking up whenever you see sexism in the lab. Maybe talk to your male friends, male family members, male coworkers about the issues facing women in STEM. Don't put all of the pressure on us to be brave. It's not our fault that we have to be brave to do this, and it's not our fault that it's more difficult for us. And going off of that, something that I have never been told personally, but I've seen a lot online is, oh, well, it's easier for you to get into this program because you're a woman, and they're looking for diversity, and it's actually harder for a straight white male to get into universities nowadays. No, it's not. Please stop. Whenever I fill out applications, I make sure to not include a single thing that indicates my gender because my name is so gender neutral. I am terrified that as a woman, people will reject me automatically, that people will see me and just assume that I don't know what I'm talking about. No, you have not had to live with that. You don't have to make sure that you appear gender neutral in all of your applications so that people can't accuse you of lying, but also they can't reject you for being a woman. Stop it. Okay, you've probably had some hardships in your life. Maybe you did struggle to get into your PhD program. I'm not discrediting that. I'm just saying that your life is not harder than a woman's life in STEM. You also don't have to worry about the constant sexism in the workplace. You don't have to be terrified whenever going to a male PI asking him to mentor you that he might try to hit on you. So please stop saying these things, okay? Just listen to us and accept our stories. Accept that. Why would we ever lie to you about these things? Universities may say that they are looking for diversity, but I would argue that 100% of the time that is just for PR. I've applied to various scholarships that said that they were looking for diversity, that they really wanted to fund women, and they were always earned by men. So they're just saying these things, okay? And I could get up on a soapbox about this. I could talk about this for hours. I might make this its own video, considering how much I'm talking about it now. But no, okay, it's not easier as a woman in STEM nowadays. It's not harder for you as a man, and it's not easier for us. Please stop saying that. And the last one for this video is women don't face sexism in STEM. We've come a lot farther than that. Hopefully by all of the things that I've just told you, you realize, yes, we do face sexism in STEM. It's not to the degree that it used to be. A lot less women are getting their science stolen by men, which is great. It's amazing. Women are allowed in PhD programs. Amazing. Women are able to live on their own freely. They don't have to be married. You can be Dr. so-and-so as a woman. People with children can get their PhD. People with children can work. Yes, we have come very far. That doesn't mean that we don't face sexism anymore. That just means that we face slightly less than the people before us. I just told you so many things that we get told constantly, all the time. I've heard some of these things last week. Like, they're not uncommon to hear as a woman. So please just acknowledge it. I get that it makes people uncomfortable because you want to pretend like we have come further than that. That way you don't have to sort of deal with it. But we do have to deal with it. In order to get rid of it, we have to deal with it. So please, just listen to us whenever we tell you that these things have happened. Listen. So I actually got a lot more comments on that post than what I've said here. It was a lot to filter through, and I probably have enough for like another 10 videos on things that we get told all the time, which is just upsetting. But if you would like to see maybe a part 2 to this video, please like the video and comment down below, say that you'd like to see more. Please feel free to reach out to me on any of my social medias. I'll list them all here. Also feel free to reach out to me at askaneuroresearcher@gmail.com, where you can recommend video topics. You can ask me any questions that you've ever had about the brain, about graduate school, about research. Anything that I feel qualified to answer, I will. I'm also preparing for the spookiest month of the year. If you can't tell by my skeleton that's here year-round in all of my schools, I am a huge fan of Halloween, so I have some really fun video topics planned for the month of October. If you have anything spooky related to the brain, please leave it in the comment down below, and if, as a video suggestion, I will be sure to cover as many spooky things as possible in October. I think that's the end of the video, so Bye.